Hi everyone. So in the past few months, we've seen a lot of sales in the new launch market. But have you ever wondered, we all know buying new launch, you can make good money, but have you ever wondered when should you exit to get the greatest return? So in today's video, I have done some research. I wanted to find out, depending on what kind of unit you buy, when would be the most optimal time to sell to squeeze out the most profit. So I think this will be a very interesting video, especially if you are someone who is already holding a new launch property. I think you will really want to watch to the end. Hi everyone, I'm Nicholas. I am a realtor, 8 years in the industry, and I have bought 2 new launches in my lifetime. And I think these are just very interesting research that I also want to know when to sell a new launch to make the most money. So let's get right to it. So this example will be key residence. I wanted to find out, okay, depending on different bedroom type, is there a difference in profits? So firstly, let's look into 2-bedroom. So key residence TOP around June 2024, and they have 2 generic facing, one over the Maju Camp facing and one over the unblocked lander facing. So for 2-bedroom, we are looking at this type over here, which is Maju Camp facing. Would you sell before or after TOP? Do you think which one will have the most amount of profits? So let's look into it. Well, since they TOP June 2024, February 2024, this is before TOP, we realized that those units that were sold before TOP actually make more profits than those after TOP. So why is this the case? Because key residence is in Sunset area, and Sunset area is like owner-occupier estate. 2-bedroom, well, from experience, I think people who buy 2-bedroom, they are either, most of the people are young couples or couples in that sense and may not want to drive. So they are really squeezing all their money, their piggy bank to afford the down payment. Usually they don't drive, so they want to stay in a very accessible area. Key residence, on the other hand, is good for people who drive because it's in an area where there's not a lot of public transport going on, that's not near MRT. So 2 bedrooms, in fact, after TOP, I think a lot of the couples, a lot of the young people will have a huge difficulty accepting the location, and that's why the profits are not as great after TOP lah. In fact, I think even there's no 1-bedroom, I think, but the smaller bedroom types, especially those that are not 3 bedrooms, they will suffer if they want to sell after TOP, because when people come into the unit, they are already buying for own stay, then definitely they will think twice before they enter in this location. But those transactions that happen before TOP, likely they may be investors themselves, maybe they want to rent it out, or maybe they also want to flip. So maybe the location does not play so big a part, or even the layout may not be so significant. Now, on the other hand, if you look into a 4-bedroom, will you sell before or after TOP? So if you follow just now the rationale, then you think, okay lah, maybe before TOP can make more money. Then this is when it's also a bit different. So I would say September 2024, maybe it's in a TOP season, or maybe they were transacted a bit earlier before September 2024. But regardless, we see that the longer you hold for this 4-bedroom, well, actually you make more money. And why is this the case? Because key residence, as I mentioned, is in an area where owner-occupier estate. So 3 and 4-bedroom, the demand of buyers are really there. And moreover, this is a 999-year, almost freehold project. So people tend to want to buy for own stay, and the greatest demand comes from the 3 and 4-bedroom types. And that's why for the 4-bedroom type, the longer you hold, it seems the more profits you make. So if you buy and own a big unit type in an owner-occupier estate, actually you should hold a bit more before selling, because all these past transactions can help you to increase your price as well. So it's very different between the 4-bedroom and the 2-bedroom. So let's look into other examples now. Okay, so this is in a nutshell, key residence, 2-bedroom. If you sell before TOP, you make more money. But the 4-bedroom, the bigger unit type, if you sell after TOP and you wait a bit more in 2025, well, you make more money. So another example we have is Clavon, not too far from key residence. This is in Clementi area, HDB estate. Now, imagine you bought a 1+ study for investment. Would you choose to sell before or after TOP? So this 1-bedroom is of the same stack. This is stack 8, which is the one that I highlighted over here. This is facing the highway. Well, who are the people who buy 1+ study? Typically, these are investors. Maybe they buy to flip or they buy to rent out. Unlikely someone will buy for own stay. Maybe a very small proportion of people will buy for own stay. So I've realized Clavon TOP April 2024, So the earliest possible transaction is actually this June 2024 transaction. They may have transacted just before TOP or maybe upon TOP, but you look at the price 1.15 and the proceeds is $232,000. Well, level 25 transact at 1.15 million. The next highest will be this 1.18 and it's at 37th floor. So even let's say level 26 was only sold 1.06 million, and that is significantly lower than the 1.15 million, $90,000 lower, and this is transacted in December 2024. So the trend seems to be in line with whatever I just mentioned. For a small bedroom type in an owner-occupied estate, HDB estate, well, the demand actually drops after TOP because people see already they cannot accept, and the prices and the proceeds just drop. So if you do hold a one bedroom, a very small unit type in an owner-occupied estate, then trust me, if you can, you need to sell ASAP before TOP if possible. This is really, really important. On the other hand, we have a 3-bedroom in the same project, Clavon. This is facing the HDBs. Same stack 13, as I mentioned, 958 square feet. If you had sold January 2024, this is before TOP, you sold 1.87 million and you made 317,000, which is pretty good, okay? But if you held it longer, you can see that the proceeds keeps going higher, and this is level 14 so let's compare to level 13, which is the most recent transaction over here, $2.08 million. This is almost $210,000 difference just by holding 10 more months. 10 more months, really. 10 more months, you have made much more money. And why is this the case is because the people who buy 3-bedroom tends to be owner-occupiers. Maybe these are HDB upgraders nearby. They cannot wait. And so when it's TOP already, they can see the actual product, they can visualize, and they don't need to spend so much renovation. They're willing to pay top dollar for your unit because anyway, they're sitting on profits and in a HDB. So since they don't need to wait so long, it's a brand new product, they don't need to renovate so much, they are willing to pay a bit more and you are able to get more profits. But if the transaction was sold much earlier before TOP, let's say in January, well, the next buyer comes in, number one, they cannot really visualize the unit, they cannot see the view, they cannot feel the space, and more importantly, they need to wait. But most of the HDB upgraders in this case, they need to sell their flat, they need the proceeds before they can buy your unit. So if this transaction happened much earlier before TOP, that means that in the interim, this family has to stay and they have to account for rental or the inconveniences, the moving costs. So unlikely they're willing to pay as much. That's why big bedroom types after TOP, they can still run. As long as the economy is doing well, the market is doing well, they can do well, especially if the floor plan is good and the fundamentals of the project is good. So that's why 3-bedroom and bigger in the owner-occupied estate, in a HDB estate like Clementi, definitely the longer you hold, even after TOP, there's no rush because you know the pricing can hold. And this is really the entire stack 13, man. These are all the transactions that happen in the 10 months, and that's quite a bit of units over here. Next example, Normanton Park. This is close to my heart. Stack 8, this was the block that I used to stay, but not my same stack. Well, would you sell before or after TOP? If you know by now, probably you will say before TOP. But for Normanton Park, most of the transactions happen after TOP because, it is very difficult to sell before TOP because it's 2 years, 7 months means this person actually pays seller stamp duty. But that aside, let's discuss when is the best time to sell, right? Well, this person managed to sell 1.408 million in August of 2023. In January this year, a slightly lower floor, but still considered high floor, was only sold $1.35 million. So the gains are really quite different. So in that sense, let's calculate if you were to pay seller stamp duty of 4% times 1.408. Seller stamp duty would have been 56,000. Okay so it's about the same. If this 2308 they sold before TOP, they would have paid about $56,000 in seller stamp duty. I would say that's about the same as the 1808. But if let's say you're in a situation where you don't need to pay seller stamp duty, then selling before TOP really makes sense because this August 2023, this is really during the TOP phase or probably sold before TOP. That's why it's able to get such good returns. So for Normanton Park, even today, unfortunately, a lot of units are for sale, even for the 2-bedroom, the 2-bed 1 bath, 2-bed 2 bath, roughly average about 100 listings on Property Guru. So after TOP, that has been a trend. It's very difficult to sell after TOP. So that's why those that sell before TOP or right smack at the start actually make the most money. Next example, Forett at Bukit Timah. So Forett is at Beauty World area, owner-occupier area, and this is a freehold project. So now we have a 3-bedroom. Would you sell before or after TOP? And the TOP is in September 2024. By now, you probably will say after TOP, and you are quite right. So September 2024, this will be the TOP area, we see that the 980 square feet 3-bedroom actually made more money, sold for a higher price, and they were purchased about the same time, same date. Yeah, just that purchase price is a bit different, but after TOP, they definitely made a bit more. So if you do own a 3-bed or 4-bed or even a 5-bedroom, chances are you need to have some holding power tied through TOP or even few months after TOP. For Clavon's example, the 3-bedroom that made the most money was about 6 months after TOP. And yeah lor, if you have a very big bedroom type, definitely wait until TOP, then you start selling. I think your capital appreciation will be much better. Now we have Midtown Modern. This is in the Bugis area, town area. We talk about 2-bedroom. Would you sell before or after TOP? And this is quite an atas project. That's why the price point is a bit higher because of the location. We have 2 units, same facing over here, but different stack, 721 square feet, and purchased about the same time, but the pricing is slightly different. We see that Q3 2025, even though this was purchased higher, because it's a 2-bedroom and this is in a town area. So let me ask you a question. Do you think a lot of Singaporeans buy a 2-bedroom to stay in a town area? Unlikely, right? So most people who buy condo for own stay, the people with the deepest pocket these days tend to be upgraders, and they are looking for a 3-bedroom and bigger. 2-bedroom on the other hand, the demand is not as strong because people are always at a crossroad. I can potentially buy a big HDB, stay. When I'm ready, then I move into a condo. So the bare minimum for a condo, if you want to make money, I really think 3-bedroom is a good sweet spot. 2-bedroom is a bit of a gamble. And in this case, it's also true. So even though it's close to the city, the 2-bedroom, we see that the unit that was sold before TOP actually made more money. This was a higher price, more profits because it was purchased cheaper also. But key thing is, after TOP, it sold 2.3 million. It's still lower than the 2.38888 million over here. So really, if you have a town unit after TOP, even though it's a small unit, you will also not see huge capital gains in this case. So that's what I have realized of all these examples. Of course, some cases are not so straightforward, but the rule of thumb is, if let's say you have bought a unit in an owner-occupied estate and you bought a 3-bedroom and bigger, like Clementi, then don't worry, just hold up to TOP stage, hold 6 months after TOP. I'm sure your prices can hold as long as the market is okay lah. But if you bought a 1 or 2-bedroom unit, even in town area, then my suggestion is really to sell as soon as possible. Sometimes it may make sense to pay the 4% SSD because right now it's 4 years ma. It may make sense just so that you can beat the competition and you can liquid your money ASAP to look for the next opportunity. Because of course, if you buy a 1-bedroom for investment, chances are you will want to buy a bigger unit if you could, but because of the rising property costs, you can't. So you have to start from somewhere. If I were you, maybe I'll consider paying the 4% seller stamp duty just so that I can faster sell and move on to my next property, and yeah, hopefully get a 3-bedroom next, even in the outside central region. So these are certain things that we need to know, because when to exit a new launch is extremely important, especially if you are buying this unit to make money. So I hope you have some takeaways from this video. I really put a lot of effort to find all these examples. But what do you think? Are there any other examples, or are there any experiences you've had where you thought you could make more money but it didn't turn out that way, or any other stories like that? Please leave your comments down in the comment section down below. I'm looking forward to see it. If not, I will see you in the next one.